Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Cypherin podcast. Today, we have a very special group of guests here, the TxFusion team, who's going to be going over a lot of their tooling, what they're building, how they're integrating with the ZK-Sync ecosystem, how they got in here, who they are, etc. I think I posted on Twitter something. I was like, hey, something about ZK-Sync, and I would just got flooded with their team being like, yo, like, we're TxFusion, like, we do a lot of stuff on ZK-Sync. So brought them on to the stream here to chat with them about what they do, who they are. And with that, yeah, let's introduce them. So yeah, who are you guys? What do you do? First off, what are your names?
My name is Ines. I'm founder of TxFusion, and I'm basically here to lead business and kind of a vision of TxFusion.
Yeah, I can be next. Hi, my name is Philip. I am head of product at TxFusion. We're building a lot of tools for developers to use in ZK-Sync, but also to build their own products. So happy to speak more about it.
Hi guys, I am Mimi, actually Milve, but since it's hardly pronounced, it's Mimi, just Mimi. I am head of tooling in TxFusion, and actually we are developing Harket and SDKs for ZK-Sync.
Okay, great. So already a whole bunch of questions come to mind. Developing tooling for Foundry, ZK-Sync, Hard Hat. Yeah, let's jump into it. So what are the main projects, tools, or products that you guys make? What do you guys mainly do? What is TxFusion?
TxFusion is an R&D company, and we started, maybe to go a bit back into the history, how we started with ZK-Sync. I used to work in other ecosystems like Bitin, Starkware, Near, Polygon, etc., and kind of fell in love with the way ZK-Sync was kicking off their vision and what they were like, how they were kicking off the whole start of the ecosystem. And in the journey, like just getting to know the team better, the core team better, we decided to found a company like TxFusion. And we started with, we can maybe share more later on about this. We started basically on the tooling of ZK-Sync, like plugins, SDKs, Hardcat, etc. Somewhere last year, we realized that there is a need for another kind of tooling, right? Another kind of tools that would help speed up onboarding of the developers into the ecosystem, but at the same time help the existing projects and the new projects like kind of skyrocket. So we decided to start building, besides the tooling that we work with ZK-Sync, we started building tools that in few clicks you can do something on ZK-Sync. In this case, I think Philip can tackle more, but Paymaster is one of the, I would say, the products that we kind of are the most popular now at the moment.
Oh, let me playing with the coordination over here. Excellent. Okay, thank you for the backstory. So what about Philip and Mimi? How did you guys get into this?
Okay, I can start. Actually, Mimi and I worked together in a previous company. It was like the previous life, I would say, working AI field. But then slowly we started getting the blockchain field, in the usual way that developer goes, getting interested in like technology and then the philosophy around it, and then, diving deeper into the details. But then, as Ines mentioned, we kind of started to see like what has the biggest potential in the years to come when it comes to blockchain technology. And it was obvious at some point that L2 scaling of Ethereum is one of the ways to go. And that's what was how we kind of joined Ines in this journey of building and developing on ZK-Sync. So yeah, as Ines mentioned, we kind of started with basic tooling, but I would point out that this kind of tooling building, Hardhat and SDKs that Mimi can talk about more, kind of gave us enough insight into what ZK-Sync technology actually is, and then how they're approaching stuff, but what is the difference between other technologies. And that kind of knowledge that we built over some time gave us enough confidence to say, hey, we know this core tech enough. Let's see what's the next step. And the next step is definitely something like, hey, what are the useful products on top of what we are building here as tools that can speed up the process of someone building their own dApp on ZK-Sync or implementing their own logic and their own whatever they want. And that is how we approach, that is how we end up with TxFusion, which is Paymaster as a service that I would like to talk more about, but this is kind of the brief intro.
Awesome. Mimi, how about you? How'd you get in here?
Yeah, well, like Philip already said, my background is actually machine learning engineer with a little bit of salt in big data. So I already know a little bit about distributed systems. So when I heard about this new blockchain space and some distributed database that can do a lot of things that can be potentially really great for the whole humanity, I decided to jump in. Then I met Ines, our other guys, and we talked a lot about what we can bring, some new value, and this is something that we call circle of value. And basically, we are working on tooling stuff, on new products, and everything that will be needed in the future for the broader adoption of all of this. My current, employment is definitely in the tooling stuff, making things simple for user, especially for basically making everything simpler and easier for everyone to jump in and try this new space.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for the introduction, all three of you. So you all three, you mentioned, hey, like blockchain, really cool, wanted to get into the space. ZK Sync was this just phenomenal technology. I guess why ZK Sync, right? We're seeing kind of this, and maybe this is too charged of a question. I don't want to get into any political stuff here, but yeah, why ZK Sync, right? Because we're in this era where all these L2s are basically almost kind of fighting for block space, right? We have optimistic rollups, we have zero knowledge rollups. Why did you all settle on ZK Sync?
Interesting question. Interesting question. But besides the tech, I think something that inspires us the most is the support that we get directly from ZK Sync. Whenever we have a question, whenever we're building something, there is always someone there to answer. And usually it's not one person. Like they would send 5 people to help out if we need help with something. And I think that was kind of an icebreaker for us. That's something fresh that we saw in the system. That was not just based, hey guys, you just do this and that's it. Like do some tasks and that's it. Like no, you're actually owners of the plugins and Hardhead and the SDKs, and that's what they told us, very straight and very direct. And we kind of liked that point, as from the very beginning it was giving the signs of decentralization. Like it was giving the signs, they're giving us the ownership actually. Hey, it's not ZK Sync responsible for this, it's us. So that's from the very beginning, that was kind of, wow, this is fresh, this is new, this is something that we didn't see so far. And from there on, I think it was mostly what we were seeing is they were delivering what they were promising. That was kind of the roadmap that they promised. They were following the roadmap, and yeah, there are always a lot of challenges in the tech, especially in the blockchain, etc. But what we were seeing is that they're really doing what they were speaking, and that's kind of, for us, that was I think the biggest moment. Why ZK Sync, right?
Very, very aligned with the mission of Web3.
Yes.
Got it. Makes a lot of sense. Cool. Well, with that background, yeah, would love to jump into what you guys are building. Like, what are some of the tools? I know Philip mentioned, the Paymaster. I know Mimi mentioned some of the Hardhead tooling. Which tool do we want to jump in first? Yeah, what would you all say is kind of your flagship right now, if you had a flagship product?
Maybe do you want to go first with the tools?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, we can start with the tooling. Yes, that's our roots. I would say the tooling
Right.
team was kind of the roots and the pillar of the whole company. How we actually kicked off everything. And maybe go.
Yeah, the first thing that we worked on is definitely Hardhead plugins, and that was starting point in this journey with ZK Sync. Basically, we started developing a lot of plugins, and our main focus was to make how should I say it, standardized and similar to what is Hardhead already doing, and to reduce that friction and to take minimal time to transition to ZK Sync. After that, we started more building. We started to jump into SDKs. We overtake ZK Sync Eaters, JavaScript SDK for ZK Sync. And after that, we started programming several different languages like Swift, Python, Java, Go. So basically, we are now covering almost all of the SDKs on ZK Sync and a bunch of plugins. Some of them are deprecated because ZK Sync is always evolving, and they are trying to make a lot of things similar to the Ethereum. So the users are already familiar with that ecosystem, and that friction is as small as possible. From the hard hat perspective, I would say a lot of things is done already, but we have already some new plans from the SDK stuff. A lot of things is moving, a lot of things is developing. Maybe you already know about shared bridge is coming. There is a new upgrade probably in the next week, like a lot of guys from the ZK Sync already said. And yeah, also one of the things that we are working currently is Vim SDK. A lot of users are using it, so we are now also developing a lot of stuff there, and I hope this will be also in the very near future also provided for users to use.
Yeah. So I'm on your TxFusion.io/projects page right now, right? And I'm looking at the Hardhat ZK Sync deploy, Hardhat ZK Sync Viper, Bittlebox, Hardhat ZK Sync Sulk, Hardhat ZK Sync Toolbox, blah, blah. A lot of these Hardhat plugins. And a lot of people immediately think, okay, well, hey, like Hardhat already works with Solidity. Like, why do I need all these Hardhat plugins?
Yeah, there are definitely some ZK Sync specific things that need to be added. Like, for example, ZK Sync provide their own compiler called ZK Sol C that is relied on the Sol compiler, but still, it's used it. So we need to, in some way, wrap it, and provide user the best experience we can. Our TxFusion part and ZK Sync are definitely one of the main focuses for us is to make like I already said, reduce that friction and make it in 10 seconds, make it so that users can easily how should I say, go to the ZK Sync, but there is still a job to do. So we are, very cooperating with ZK Sync, and they are, always listening to our ideas, and we are moving toward that smaller friction.
Right. Right. So you mentioned like, hey, there's a lot of ZK Sync specific stuff that Hardhat needs to have. Having jumped to the ZK Sync ecosystem myself, right? The VM is different, right? It's not EVM, it's Era VM. So a lot of the bytecode doesn't actually work the same when you compile. You have to actually transpile to, like, as you were saying, like to ZK Sulk. So that's why we have all these tools, and you guys maintain them for the ZK Sync ecosystem. So let me ask this. So you have the Hardhat ZK Sync Viper, which to me is this weird amalgamation, because you have weird amalgamation of technology, right? You have Viper, which is very Pythonic in the Python ecosystem. Then you have ZK Sync, which is EVM compatible, right? Not EVM equivalent. And then also in Hardhat in this JavaScript tooling, have you seen anybody deploy a Viper smart contract using this is the Viper nerd in me coming out?
Not many people.
Not many people. Okay.
Yeah, and I would say just basic contracts. Not many people.
Okay, I might have to try that later, because that seems like a lot of fun.
Please try.
and then these are all it looks like these are all open source, right? So if I run into issues, okay.
Also, cool. you can contribute, so we are open to it.
All right, cool. I'll have to take a look. Cool. So a lot of these. So when I go to the ZK Sync documentation, right? If I want to do like an account abstraction, right? I'm importing. Like if I want to do an account abstraction project, I'm importing I'm installing all these Yarn packages, these npm packages. Looks like all these are coming from you guys. Very cool. So this is kind of how you guys started. So how did you guys go from building all these Hardhat plugins? Then if I'm scrolling up your projects list here, right, it looks like above these, then we have TX Portal, TX Tusco, maybe I'm saying that wrong, TX Sync, TX Bridge. So how did you go from tooling to these products? Are the same people working on them? Are they just, you guys are just like, hey, let's just build everything on ZK Sync? Like how did this happen?
I can address that part. Well, we started with tooling, but then we slowly transitioned to more, let's say, advanced stuff in ZK Sync, like some kind of bridges or staking contract and so on. And then by doing this kind of advanced stuff, we saw that there is couple of problems, not just for Matter Labs as a company behind zkSync, but also for people who are onboarding on zkSync. And then we noticed that, for example, one of the most important parts of the ecosystem is kind of bridge, right? You want to transfer your assets from, let's say, Ethereum network to the zkSync network. We wanted to provide this experience to be, as simple as possible, as best as possible, and that's how we started with this TX portal and TX bridge. How we present those is that they're part of TxSync platform. TxSync is actually how we see it, one platform for everyone, building and using zkSync. So whatever you want to do on this new chain, you can do it on zkSync. That's our vision. And TX portal and TX bridge are the first steps. TX portal is actually a product where you can see all of your assets on zkSync. So whatever you hold in your wallet, when you connect it, you see it there. We also wanted to provide a really transparent view of your transactions, for your ability to add new contact, to send faster your funds to someone who you're sending regularly, And then we started from there. But then the bridging stuff is another part of it, which says like, hey, how we can make this process of sending from Ethereum to zkSync and vice versa also as smooth as possible. But not that does that, but also integrated with zk specific stuff. And then when I say zkSync specific, I mostly mean about native account abstraction and paymaster. I think people are really interested about that. We recognize that early on as a really a big deal, and big difference between what other ecosystems are doing and what zkSync is doing. For those who are not familiar, zkSync has a native account abstraction support, which means that basically every wallet, every account in zkSync can use those advanced functionalities you probably heard about, signing your transaction with a fingerprint or using this paymaster technology to sponsor transaction and so on. And this was really important in the terms of like development of applications. Now, we then noticed that, okay, paymaster is cool, people want to use it, but it's really hard for someone who just got into zkSync to wrap their head around like what exactly is the paymaster, what exactly is the account abstraction. And we started thinking about how we can make this transition for someone who is interested to someone who is knowledgeable and can use it as fast as possible. And then the byproduct of that was what we called TxFusion. TxFusion is basically a paymaster as a service product. That's how we call it. The need for it started from the thinking of like, when I want to build a paymaster, I need to first look at documentation, get familiar with the concept, watch a couple of videos that explain what it is, then start building it on my own. zkSync, by the way, has really good examples of how this is possible, but you need to spend days or let's say weeks in order to do that for yourself. Okay, and then the idea would be how we can make this process easier. Well, we managed to do it by enabling you to create your Tsuko in a couple of clicks. So basically, when you want to create your Tsuko, you just click, one button that says create, the other one says give it your name, give it a type, and then go from there.
So a tsuk, am I saying that right? A tsuk, one syllable? Tsuko. A tsuko is essentially a paymaster then. Is that right? Or am I wrong?
Tsuko is actually a paymaster factory. We look at it like
factory.
That. Yeah, okay. You can basically create your own by specifying a couple of clicks and buttons here and there.
Got it. Okay, paymaster factory. So, for those of you who are unaware, so zkSync has what's called native account abstraction. Just quick backstory for listeners who are unaware. And account abstraction has been getting a lot of buzz as of recent because a new EIP that Vitalik, it seemed like he drafted in like 20 minutes, just went out. I think it was 7702, which is like, it's competitive with 3074, but 4337 is already in. I know way too many of the EIPs, I guess. But so zkSync has native account abstraction where when you send a transaction, you can send a transaction without spending any gas yourself to the mempool and somebody else can pay for it. You can sign transactions with anything. You could sign transactions with like your Google login if you wanted. And zkSync has this out of the box. Now, one of the plugins or the optional additions to this is something called a paymaster, which is what it sounds like a Tsuko. Hopefully I'm saying that right. A Tsuko is paymaster factory, where if you wanted to have somebody else pay for your transaction, this factory could launch a smart contract that would have the logic of like, so-and-so is going to pay for my transaction and here's how. Is that correct?
That's exactly correct. I can give you the example right away because I think it's really applicable here. for example, NFT collections approached us and they said like, hey, we want to bring additional value to our holders. We want to do it in zkSync. How we can do that with this new paymaster technology? And then we said like, okay, go to our website, click 3 buttons, create your paymaster, and just connect it on the front end app, and that's it. Instead of they're spending like days or weeks to build their own paymaster, deploy the contract, audit it here and there, they're just doing it with clicks and then have the use case. And the actual use case is like whoever owns a specific NFT and wants to use, let's say, our portal and bridge, they have their transaction sponsored by the NFT collection itself, which we think is really cool example.
Interesting. Yeah. So really, really cool. So like basically, yeah, if you just reiterate from my own understanding, yeah, if I'm an NFT collection, I don't want any of my users to have to pay the gas to mint my NFT. Boom. I just click through your interface, deploy the contract that handles this. I fund my paymaster contract with sponsor money. Boom. Now none of my users have to pay any. That so and I can basically go to my MetaMask. I can hit mint and I can have 0 Ethereum, 0 ERC20. I can have nothing in my MetaMask and I can mint and I can get that NFT.
And the beauty of it is that you can actually connect to multiple different applications. For example, the same NFTs that connected to our TX portal and bridge also connected to SyncSwap, which is like one of the biggest applications you can see where people can swap their tokens, also with the paymaster, and also for the same NFT holders as in our products.
So really just making the onboarding experience for people who don't have a way to maybe get, because bridging, I've bridged 100 times, and every single time I bridge, I basically sit at my desk and like have a very small anxiety attack going, okay, like, please, I hope my funds show up the other side. So it sounds like just a much, much simpler onboarding experience. Really, really cool. So, like this is something I kind of want to play with more, but I'm on your app, as we're talking right now, and I'm on the bridge thing. I'm on the bridge site. So my initial reaction to seeing kind of the bridge page is, okay, why do we need this bridging side, right? Why not just use the zkSync bridge, like the native one, the roll-up aspect? Why not? Is that what you guys are using on the back end? How does your bridging app work?
We're actually using native zkSync bridge. What we build with TX bridge is just a UI and a bunch of additional features on top of it.
Got it.
So the whole security point is what zkSync and Matter Labs actually provided themselves.
Got it.
We wanted to bring additional experience.
Cool. I saw the bridge and I immediately got nervous. But okay, cool. Great.
It's an 81. It's an 81. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, cool. So you guys have your so on your UI, you have kind of like a wallet, a bridge, the Tsuko, which seems like this is this really cool paymaster. That's really kind of it's really, I don't want to say exclusive, but like a lot of these, I think like Starkware also has native account abstraction. zkSync is native account abstraction. It's really just kind of exclusive to these ZK EVMs with native account abstraction. You have this final tab here called Playground. What does this do?
Okay, Playground is actually our kind of pet project that we just started. We noticed that, for example, when people create Tsukos, which is synonym for the paymaster, so when people create their paymasters, they're often asking like, what now? Like, what do we do now with it? They're not see the use case right away. And then with the Playground, we wanted to just to showcase one usage currently of the TX Tsuko, but in the future of all the products that we will build in our TxSync platform. And currently, TX Playground works by you, first of all, having a simple message that you want to change on the greeter contract. The greeter contract standard hello world example on a blockchain, you have a simple message, you want to change it. Well, that's obviously a transaction, right, on a blockchain. Now, when you want to send a transaction, you pay some gas fees. And then that's the first step. But then the actual second step is like, hey, you can select the payment method, and you can go with sponsored Tsuko that you created, and you can go with ERC20 Tsuko that you created. So basically, we want to showcase what the power of Paymaster is. Like, hey, when you build something like this is how you use it. And that's the basic idea. Well, by the way, we have a rework coming. This is just, as I said, like a pet project with a simple interface to showcase it.
For those of you who are listening, I was showing the UI. And that's made him jump and be like, hey, we're going to change this soon. We're going to change this soon. Fair enough. Very cool. So it sounds like a lot of tooling and projects around kind of this stuff, this power that you really only have on these ZK EVMs, right? Like zkSync with native account abstraction. So makes a lot of sense. So I guess what's the big thing you guys are working on now? Is it Actually, yeah, let me just stop there. What's the big thing that you guys are working on now? Or what are you, or I want to ask 100 questions now. What are you excited for? What are you excited for next?
We have many things actually that we are building, but now we are talking about Paymaster. Paymaster is just part of it. So basically what we want to do with these tools is create a toolbox. So when you come on ZK Sync, you can have more tools that you can use. We are still launching a tool that's called Bazar, where you can automate things. Let's say HR, you pay salaries every month. Just automate, let it go, let it flow. If you have to change, you change throughout the month. If not, it goes as you set it up already. So what we are trying to do with this toolbox is to really simplify the usage of the blockchain, and ZK Sync natively gives us a lot of, let's say, support to build these tools. Besides that, we are also building some other products that maybe we'll tackle now or not. I don't know if this is the space as well. But we are, let's say, working on something that we call Bazar. That's soon we wanna launch, right? So something that we realized by traveling on the conference and going to the conference, you always need T-shirts, always need the gadgets, etc., etc. It's very hard to send let's say if I'm going from Serbia to US to bring the like anything for the conference, any T-shirts and any gadgets that I want to bring, right? But I can just store them in the US, pay them with the crypto, use the platform for this, and make it easy for myself. Like I don't have to bring everything with me. So kind of we are looking at this from the perspective of the user. What does the user need, and how can we simplify the process of onboarding users into the blockchain? Not from the perspective like, hey, it's blockchain and everything has to go into blockchain. Not necessarily. But where do we see the use cases? And that's something that we call circle of value. Maybe Philip wanna jump in. This is his favorite topic. Circle of value is something that we call in TxFusion, that we are led by it as a company. Philip wanna?
Yeah, the basic what we call circle value is building the tools for developers to build something, and those developers building something that's like real world product that Tinas explained, like trading and buying stuff, but also that giving a power to native applications on Web3 to use that stuff in order to expand their experience, and then we have the closed circle of this kind of additional value for forever.
What we are really excited about, we want to focus on kind of bring industries into blockchain. Like that's kind of a dream of mine. I really want to see that the whole industries are coming. Not that we are bringing person by person or project by project and convincing everyone you should come and you should use it, etc. But rather really give the use cases to the whole industries and try to bring the industries into blockchain rather than, as I said, user by user.
Do you have some industries in specific that you're hoping to bring in?
That's why we kind of kicked off with the Bazar thing, because we see that that's something that where there is a huge use case already in blockchain, right? So we can already say that's something that will be used. Like if we see the countries like, I don't know, Turkey, let's say Turkey as an example. Like we were on conference last year in Turkey, and we went actually to their Bazar, and you can pay with crypto. I mean, millions of users crypto users are basically on the Bazar. So why not start from there? Well, like, why not simplify this process? So we started talking to them, and kind of from there on, we launched this idea of the Bazar. We actually talked to people on the spot, saw that there is use case, and said, okay, let's try to build this.
So you keep saying that the term Bazar. I thought I caught it the first time, but I guess I didn't. So what is Bazar? What
it's a marketplace, like a flea marketplace.
Right. Okay, gotcha. Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Like I don't know, we were buying teas, we were buying jackets, we were buying whatever in Turkey. Turkey has like these their I think it's flea market spaces where you just go and you can buy anything basically in there, and you can pay their basically tea with crypto. Like we were paying coffee and sitting there drinking coffee and paying with crypto. Like just to me, it was like super nice to see actually that people who don't know what's blockchain, who don't know what's crypto, they receive this as a payment. Like they in most of the cases they didn't understand what is it behind it. Someone taught them how to use it, and they started using it. Simple as that.
Why do you think so like I'm from the States, right? And if I went to a coffee shop and I was like, hey, let me buy my coffee with crypto, they would tell me to leave. They would be like, cool, dude, like go someplace else. Why do you think it's picked up in places like that? And, if this is too far out of left field, feel free to dodge this question. But yeah, like, why do you think places like that it's picked up more than places like the States?
I think that this might be very subjective, but I think in the countries like Turkey, they're kind of forced into it. Like they were going through recession, etc. Like they had a lot of issues within the country, and people kind of started looking for new ways to explore and expand their businesses. I mean, Turkey is not the only country. If we look at in Brazil, the same is happening. We have the same. I think in some African countries, it's really I think created out of the need. We need this, and this is a good chance to expand our businesses. And if we see where crypto actually is being the most used, is exactly in these countries that they're very good salesmen from the very start, right? So they would realize, okay, I have a new market of people who would actually pay with this crypto thing, right? So I think, at least in my opinion, that's kind of why.
And the reason I asked too is because like a lot of what you guys are doing, right? If you go to the TxSync.io website, especially with the Suko, okay, yes, you're nodding. Okay, if you go to the Suko website, or you go to the TxSync and you go to the Suko product, it feels like this is like a way to onboard people easier, right? And so the reason I'm asking is because it sounds like you're saying, hey, like there are people who need this, who have a hard time using this, obviously, because it's weird. Cool, we're providing solutions here to make it easier to onboard both the ZK Sync, but just blockchain in general, so that they can have these better, easier, more robust payment methods, which makes a lot of sense to me. So
we always go from perspective, like how would I explain this to my mom or to my aunt, like my grandma? Like we would ask ourselves, can we explain this easy? If we can explain it easy, that means that okay, someone can use it that's closer to their age.
Can you explain it? Can you explain it to your grandma? Like
my aunt uses crypto, like she knows, she has a wallet and etc. Like she's quite familiar with what we do.
Okay, great, cool. Well,
and
fantastic.
I think that's kind of like Mimi, Philip can also share. That's something that we actually really like to say within the company, that everyone introduce their families into what they're doing. Like, and that's where it starts from, right? You have to, people that are closest to you, actually show them what it is, how it can be used, what are the benefits of it, so that you're able then to expand the message even further.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense to me. Cool. Well, yeah, so I'd love to hear more about the product roadmap from you all, right? So what are you building next? What's going on? What are you guys excited about? What's next? What next are we going to see from you guys?
I can speak a bit more about it. So what we did with TxFusion is enabling people to create paymasters easily. One important part in terms of tech I want to mention here is that we built something called restrictions. So basically on ZK Sync,
you built something called, what was it called?
It's called restrictions. We call them restrictions.
Okay.
Yes. So the idea came from on ZK Sync, you can build two types of paymasters. One is sponsored one that we just talked about, like hey, I'm going to sponsor transactions for someone else. The other one is ERC20 based paymaster, which means you pay gas fees, but you pay it with other tokens except ETH. You can pay it with a USDC, you can pay it with your custom token, ERC20 token, but that's the power of it. And then what we noticed is that people want to have like their special use case of those two types of paymasters. For example, they want to pay only on Friday. They want to sponsor transactions only on Fridays, or maybe they want to sponsor transactions that are above or less than $100, or any other custom logic related to it. And that's how we got the idea to actually build something called restrictions, which are actually separate smart contracts that are connected to the paymaster. Connected to the paymaster in a way that paymaster always checks if the transaction that's coming through it is actually having all the necessary conditions for the restrictions to pass. That means that I, as a developer, can deploy my restriction that's called, let's say, user whitelist restriction, and then in there I just specify 4 of our wallet addresses, and then when I deploy my paymaster, that means that this paymaster can be used only for our wallets, our 4 wallets. Okay. And then what we wanted to do here is also to make it flexible as possible. So then we deployed like contract-based restriction, which means that only certain smart contracts can use the paymaster. And then the beauty of it is that we want to connect, you can connect your paymaster with multiple different restrictions. So you can deploy your NFT restriction and user restrictions, and then combine those two. Okay. The future roadmap of ours, of the product team in TxFusion, TxSync, is actually to build more of those restrictions. So you as a developer can, when you build your dApp on zkSync, can just basically plug and play. Like, I need a sponsor paymaster. I want those users to be sponsored. I want maybe this time-based restriction only on Wednesdays after 2 p.m. And every option of those one is like plug and play, drag and drop, and that's it. So that's one of the products that I'm really, really excited about.
I think in the zkSync docs, actually, if I go to the zkSync docs, one of the demo apps, I'm pulling it up right now, is something like that, right? Daily spending limit account, or you're saying like kind of like a weekly spending limit account, right? So basically, every parent now has an immutable way to set their children's allowances, at least.
Right. Yeah. Not to spend too much on games in zkSync.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what's coming next. That's what's coming next down the pipeline. We're taking this idea of paymaster, we're taking these ideas of account abstraction, and we're expanding on it. We're adding features to this. Okay. So let me ask. I don't know if this makes sense to ask from a business perspective. So from a business perspective, like how would this work? Would people pay a fee to zkSync? Not to zkSync. Obviously, they're paying gas. Would they pay a fee to TxSync? Would somebody spin up like a paymaster sponsorer and jump on your network, or how would this work from like a business perspective?
Sorry, if I got right, how does it work? Like from the business perspective?
Yeah, like let's say let's say that you guys launch this restrictions, this daily spender, right? Are people to spin up this service? Are they paying you a cut? Are nodes jumping on and suggesting themselves as paymasters, or how does it work? How is it sustainable?
So how does it work? You pay one-time fee to deploy your paymaster, right? And you're owner of the paymaster. There are a few restrictions that we kind of provide for free that you can come just and use, that they're like for free in there, and that every other restriction that we are adding to it, for the time being now, like while we are adding all these restrictions, they are for free. But in the future, we are going to be charging them, right, on a monthly basis. Like if you want to use certain restriction, then you will have to pay. Basically, look at these restrictions kind of as a policy. Look at it as a plugin, right? When you go on some Chromium like browser, you have plugins that you use. So the restrictions are in a way plugins for a paymaster, and for you to use them, like these certain ones that are not free, you will just pay a monthly fee for it. But again, it's still way cheaper than to build it yourself and to maintain it yourself and to create it and update it and upgrade it yourself.
So this could really turn into just like an unending list of plugins, if you will, right? Like you get it. So sure, restrictions is maybe one of the first plugins, but maybe a later plugin is you go, okay, now we're going to add support for signing with your Google account, and you can pay Google ads every, release funds by Google ads every week or something like that. And now we're almost talking about like a large multi-sig type setup where it's just like, okay, your organization, your company can now do everything through TxSync. Is that kind of but with native account abstraction, so you don't have to do 100, transact 100 signatures. It sounds like that's kind of the ultimate vision here.
Yes, like that, to be all in one, like basically space where you can just have everything in one place, and you have to always go and use a wallet somewhere outside, and then use like 5 third parties to just do some like product.
Just to jump in, I think last week we launched version 2 of this Tsuko part where we integrated into TxSync. Before that, Tsuko was a separate website. And then one of the feedbacks that we got is like, okay, I go to Portal and Bridge to send my transaction, but then I have to connect to a different website and to create my Tsuko and use it in some way. And then Playground is a separate one. And then when we integrated this into one TxSync platform, basically you can find your paymaster from the portal itself, or you can use the paymaster sponsored fees on the bridge itself. It's integrated into one website, and we think it's really kind of empowering developers and users.
Yeah, I think for this we are very thankful to our community. I mean, they're giving a lot of feedback and coming up with these ideas, empowering us actually like in what direction to go, what they need as product and as users, as TxSync is dedicated to the individual user, as well as to the products, right? So looking at the ecosystem currently on ZK and seeing both perspectives in one platform, it's kind of like mind blowing at this point.
Yeah, and one thing that I would note is definitely ZK technology. They are very creative guys, and for example, there is new elliptic curve that will provide you with WebAuthn authentication, and a lot of things is happening. So I think this is one step closer to the broader adoption that we need.
Got it. Makes a lot of sense to me. Cool. So that's more or less all my questions here. I feel like you're going to be doing all this stuff. What's interesting is you're going to be doing all this stuff while also building the packages for everybody else to build on top of ZK Sync as well, which I think is really cool, right? You're building all these plugins, and then you're using those plugins to go build all these apps and stuff. So, I mean, that's most of my questions here. Is there anything else that you want to share with developers or security researchers or anybody else in the ecosystem?
I can say just we are open to feedback. Please try our products, see what's working, what's not. What do you have any other suggestion? We would really like to help you onboard on ZK Sync. If you're not too familiar with ZK Sync, but you're interested, we're more than happy to help you onboard. So whatever questions you have, just shoot us in Twitter, Discord, whatever. You can find us easy. So we're ready to help.
And yeah, we will work on SDKs for the platform itself. So it doesn't make sense that you work on ZK Sync, but we need to work on our own SDKs as well. So yeah,
a small alpha.
Yeah, small alpha.
Yeah. And if anyone wants to do a partnership with us, we are always open for it.
Fantastic. All right, cool. Well, everybody watching, be sure to follow them on Twitter, TxFusion_IO for updates. It sounds like they did a little bit of an alpha leak here. So stay tuned for whatever they release next. And thank you all for being on.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.